Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Amor and finally he's here. I'm going to show you how to do the Doctor Who Regeneration effect from the Doctor Who TV series. As the doctor would say, I'm so sorry for the delay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I know that I said in my video that I was going to do a tutorial a long time ago, but I've been like really busy, I've been moving, and I didn't realize this was going to be a really long tutorial. It took me like 3 weeks to do the complete video. If you haven't watched it yet, the link will appear somewhere in the screen. And you can also see the before and after. So it can give you a proper idea of what I had to do. This was shot in a really busy square in Madrid, in the center of Madrid, where I am from. Although right now I live in London. And as you can see from my accent, I'm not from here. Or maybe the TARDIS translation matrix is not working properly right now, and it's giving me this accent.
Shut up!
Anyway, this is my first tutorial, so I'm sorry if I go too fast, or if I mispronounce something, or if I miss some steps. But I'm going to try to be as precise as I can. What else? As I said, this is going to be a really long one. It took me 3 weeks to create the TARDIS, remove the people in the background, then and create the Dalek in Cinema 4D and the intro of the beginning, and also the effect. But we're going to do the effect only. But I'm going to have to divide it in many parts, maybe in 4 parts. So I'm going to do one video for the glowing of the hands and the head and with some particles, another for the big blast, and maybe 2 more for the morphing effect, and also maybe another one for the final one. And also, for saving time purposes, I'm going to do for the first 2 videos the effect only in the right hand. Why? Because it's exactly the same that the effect that I would have to do with the head and the left hand. So once you know how to do the effect here, you will learn how to do it in the rest of the parts of the body. And one more thing before we get started is that you're going to need 2 effects that don't come by default with After Effects. One of them is Flex Motion Morph from Revision plugins, so you can find the effect on their website, and also from Trapcode you will need Particular and Shine. You can get these effects from the Red Giant website. In fact, for Trapcode, I was very lucky. I could get the effects with a 40% of discount in Christmas, I think. So there are some offers out there. And if you don't want to pay for them, well, you can try the trial version from their website also. Okay, so let's get started.
And here we go.
As you can see, this is not the original footage. I already added the TARDIS there, and but I have removed the people in the background, and I have to rotoscope myself. But we're going to focus only in the regeneration. So I'm going to select a moment, maybe here before the glowing starts. I'm going to press B, right click, trim come to work area, and I'm going to stabilize the footage, but not with the warp stabilizer. That is, by the way, one of the best stabilizers that exist right now in the market. I'm going to use the one that has existed with After Effects since, I don't know which version, but the normal one. By the way, you can skip this step if your camera doesn't move, but if it does, you will have to do it. So click Stabilize, Position and Rotation. I'm going to go to the end of the video, and I'm going to select 2 points that are going to stay. So maybe here, and another one here. And track backwards. Why am I doing this? Because the right hand is going to become the emitter of the particles. So we don't want the emitter to also follow the movement of the camera. We want only to follow the movement of the hand. So we need to stabilize the footage. If the emitter follows the movement of the footage, it's not going to be precise. It's not going to. The particles follow the emitter, and we want the particles to move only with the hand. Okay, so now the tracking has finished, so I'm going to click apply to the X and Y. Okay. I'm going to close this to have more space in the timeline, and now the footage should be stabilized more or less. It doesn't have to be like really accurate, but as you can see now, the problem is that the footage is outside the composition limits. So we're going to click on pre-compose, call this stabilized footage. Click OK. Going to double click, and I'm going to do the composition bigger. So we don't crop the edges. So big. Okay, let's check it. I'm going to put this in half resolution to go faster. No. So we'll go again to composition settings. And okay, let's check it again. And it seems to stay inside the limits. So we are going to work with this composition. I mean, the big blast is going to happen here, but we have to fix this. So what we're going to work in this one, but the final video is going to be in this one. So we have to fix that. So I'm going to press, well, here we have already anchor point, position and rotation, and I'm going to press here P for position, A for anchor point, and R for rotation. Alt click, so we open the expression editor, and also the pick whip. So we're going to pick whip to link the anchor point with the position of the other composition. Alt click, link the position with the anchor point, and the rotation, again alt click with the rotation of the second composition, but multiplied by -1. So what this is going to do is, now if I go to this one, I'm going to organize things. So if we go to the original one, now the footage stays there. So I can work with this one, but maintaining the original position in the other composition. So as I said, I'm going to work with the right hand. So now what we need to do, I'm going to transform the right hand into the emitter. how do we do that? Well, first of all, what we have to do is now, if you have skipped the other step, you should now the proper tutorial starts for you. What we have to do is track the right hand. So again, tracker. It doesn't have to be exact, like really precise. So we are going to track only the position of the hand. I'm going to go at the end, make this a little bit bigger, and track point. And I don't know, maybe in the middle. I mean, we don't have any points here, but as I said, it doesn't have to be really precise. So I'm going to track backwards. Okay, so the tracking has finished. In this case, I had to fix some tracking manually. When it goes from here to there, so maybe you will have to fix it also. But anyway, as I said, it doesn't have to be like really precise. So now what we're going to do is create a new null object. Call this maybe tracking or hand right hand track, for example, or position. And edit target. Okay. And click apply on the X and Y. And now the null object follows the hand. And now we're going to create a solid. So new solid. We're going to change it to yellow because the particles are yellow and the particles should have the same color as the solid. So I'm going to make it not visible, move it down. And the thing is that we are going to use that solid as the emitter once we apply the particular effect. So first what we want to do is click T to see the opacity, and what we have to do is rotoscope the hand. So I'm going to go at the end. Yeah, I like started at the end in this one. And as I said, it doesn't have to be precise. It's going to be the emitter, but maybe we should use it also for the glowing. And well, if you have rotoscope before, you know that it's like really a tough work, and it takes a lot of time. So I'm going like really fast here. More or less. I'm going to change the color of the mask. I barely see anything. Ah, come on. Better. Okay. More or less. And we are going to parent the mask with, the layer with the null object. So I'm going to press M to have the mask path, click to have a keyframe, and now it's going to be easier to rotoscope it. We only have to do some adjustments every few frames. But now we don't have to go like every single frame trying to rotoscope the hand. Okay, so I have finished with the rotoscope here. As you can see, I had to use some keyframes. In fact, this was a bit tricky because the hand moves a lot. But besides that one, that part, the tracking here helps a lot. So I'm going to close panel here to have more space. And first of all, we're going to do, well, I'm going to name this right hand. And press T to see the opacity, make it 100%. And what we're going to do first is make the glow. It's something really easy, and there are several techniques. I just pressed Command D to duplicate the layer. In fact, I'm going to name this glow underscore R hand. Make it an adjustment layer, pressing here. And as I said, there are several techniques to do this. I'm going to go to the part where the glowing reaches its maximum point, probably here, before the big blast. So go to curves, create a keyframe, also create a keyframe at the beginning. So press U to see the keyframes and create a keyframe here. And it's just playing with the levels. So I'm moving up the red and getting the blue and move it down and make it more yellow. Well, it reaches its maximum point of glowing, so you just have to play with the levels. And also I'm going to press F to see the feather and add some feather to the mask. Yeah. Maybe it's too much. Okay, so now, in fact, I'm going to change the color of this solid. I don't know, orange. I could also change it here, but sometimes it's easier for me to look at the colors here. And I'm going to name this right hand. And what we're going to do now is the tricky part, that it's adding some particles. So again, we're going to make another solid, make it, for example, green. Effect, trap code, particular. So now we have this weird particle thing going on. I'm going to put this in half resolution because the particles take a lot of time to render. Even if I go to rendering and motion preview, I'm working with my laptop, so I don't know how I'm going to do this. Maybe I'm going to fast forward some things. I mean, you can see how it works, but it's going to take a lot of time to render and pre-visualize things. So I'm going to name this particles. And as I said, the right hand is going to become the emitter. So what I need to do is go to the emitter here, layer, and I have to transform this layer, that is the one that we are going to use as the emitter, into 3D. Because if you don't, it doesn't work. So now go to well, we're going to put this into directional, and where is it? Layer emitter here. So the right hand. So now the this layer has become the emitter. But what's going on? That the particles are going all around the layer, and we don't want that. We want only the hand, the portion of the hand, to be the emitter. So I'm going to go, press Command Z to undo. And what we have to do is pre-compose it. So right click, pre-compose, move all attributes, right hand. Yeah, probably I can name it the same. Click OK. Yes, in fact I'm going to make this yellow in this side. Double click, and now we can see the hand here, and we have to make the composition really small to the size of the hand. Luckily, we have tracked the hand, so as you can see, well, first of all, because before we mess things up, I'm going to parent the right hand to the position here. And as you can see, the mask itself doesn't move a lot. It stays there. So we have to click on composition settings and make it more or less the size of the hand, of the mask here. So make it smaller, 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 smaller. But what happens? We have a lot of space here, so what I have to do, I'm going to press Shift and move it, so I can move it in even numbers. Shift and the arrow keys. So I can put it in the center. You can even use a grid if you want to. And make the composition smaller again. Small, small, small. Okay. See that the hand remains there. In fact, I can do it a bit smaller. Not so small. Okay. And the mask should stay inside the limits, as it seems to do. Yeah. So now I'm going back to the stabilized footage, and the right hand here has moved, but as I said, it has moved in even numbers. So press Shift and the arrow keys, Come on. And by pressing shift, we can move it to the exact point that it was before. So now we can use it as the emitter. So convert it into a 3D layer, switch the viewer off, particles, layer, fine, directional, fine, and ready. Here it is. So now the particles only come outside the hand. As you can see here, it follows the movement of the hand. So what I'm going to do is now it's just play with the settings of the of this effect. I mean, this is up to you. But in my case, the particle type is glow sphere. Make the feather 100%. Make the particles a lot smaller. Maybe 2. But put a lot of them. In fact, 1,000 is not a lot, but in my proper work, in my proper project, I think I used like 40,000 or something like that. Well, not that many, but I mean, you can see what's going on here. I also put this into 10%, I think, or maybe more. Sorry, I have my settings here. I have written my settings just in case. And also the opacity. You can also play with the size random. As I said, it's playing with the settings. Opacity of overlife. Make it this so they disappear. 3 seconds, I think it's too much. But this is just for the tutorial purposes. Well, yeah, 3 seconds is too much, maybe 2. And now we're going to duplicate this layer. And these are going to be the waves. I don't know what's the proper name for this, but waves seems a good one. So it's exactly the same. We have the particles here, and we're going to add also blur, vector blur. And again, play with the settings here. I use perpendicular. And as you can see now, the particles become like a wavy thing here. That is what the Doctor has before the big blast. And also I'm going to add distort, turbulent displace. Make it smaller. And alt click, and we're going to type an expression time multiplied I don't know, 180. So now the angle is going to turn 180 degrees every second. So we have more this kind of random effect. And one more thing If you want the particles and the wave go a little bit move a little bit more randomly. In fact, I have to do this later for the big blast, so I'm going to do it now because it might help. So we're going to apply to the right hand some fractal noise. So go to noise and grain, fractal noise, and again play with the settings. So we have like some spots here, and I'm going to play with the evolution. So what I'm going to do is again alt click, time multiplied by 180 again. I think it's 180 what I used. Yeah, 180. So now the particles are only going to come from the white spots, and we're going to do that by duplicating the layer, erase the effect from this one, so we have it like this, and we're going to select the Luma as the matte. So you can see now that the particles are only going to get out from the red spots of the hand, from the bright spots of the hand. And as I said, this is just playing with the settings of the particles and the waves and all this. In fact, you can also get the turbulent displays effect, put it on the particles one. Make the particles a lot smaller, maybe 1. And as I said, it's playing. And I'm going to use also the blending mode screen. So now what we have to do is go to the moment of the big blast, almost maybe a little bit after it. So here, press the emitter, particles per second. Also here, create a keyframe there and go to the beginning, and maybe not 0, but well, yeah, why not? 0 at the beginning, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and when some seconds have passed, put. In fact, I think 1000 at the beginning is fine, and it has to be a lot more at the end. And also I'm going to play with the glowing here. So I don't know, maybe I'll go to here. So get the keyframe and move it around. And the particles at the end, as I said, a lot more. In the original one, as I said, I used like 40,000. So maybe 10,000 here. Yeah, more or less. As I said, this is just playing with the settings, so this is up to you. The most important thing to remember is how to create the emitter, and then how to create some particles, and how to create the waves with the particular and vector blur effect. And also, if you want to, you can add some normal blur, fast blur, so the particles are not that sharp, and yeah, maybe 2 of blurriness. So
Yes, it's starting to look good.
in fact, what I have to do is take the particles and they go back to zero. No, they have to go back to 0 here. So keyframe 0 and 0. So we'll, it moves, and bam! So I think that's it for this video. It's just doing the exact same thing to the left hand. Although for the head, it's a bit tricky. We're not going to use particles for the head. I tried it and it doesn't work properly. And if you see the series particles, actually they don't get out from the head as
They do with the hands.
So what I did is create another solid. Well, I'm going to use another color. I'm going to call this head. I'm going to do this really quickly, but the thing is I used another thing with the head. So opacity down, make like a quick rotoscope. Bam, bam, bam. Oh yeah, bam, bam, bam. Nice. Well, in fact, it's awful, but I have to save time here. So yeah, well. This is the worst rotoscope that I've done in my life. Try not to cover the head, the hair. Oh, this color is awful. Come on. So go down. And here what we have to use is the shine effect. So, but in a different way. What I have to do is press T, see the opacity 100%, make it again noise, fractal noise. Alt click, time multiplied by 180. And add the shine effect. So drop code, shine. We put it in the middle, the source point. And you can see more or less what I'm going to do now. Make the colorize a little bit more yellowish. apply also a distort turbulent displace. Alt click, time multiplied by 180. And well, also you have to add some glow. So duplicate this one, get rid of the effects, make it an adjustment layer, and add some curves. So, oh, that's really yellow. We don't want that. So yeah, adding some feather, and you can see what's going on. I did it really quickly, but you can get a basic idea of what you have to do. So again, rotoscope the face, not the hair, and add fractal noise, shine. So the shine effect will use the bright parts of the fractal noise as the source, and add some evolution. So we have some random movements, and also the turbulent displacement. The turbulent displace helps also to have like this wavy effect, wavish effect. Okay. So do the same to the other parts of the body. And one more thing, if you want to be like really accurate, as I tried to do, is again, this has to be in screen mode. Well, maybe not this one, but I'm going to call this waves head. I don't know what's the proper name. And as I said, to be more accurate, create an adjustment layer, put it on the top, and once the glowing is getting bigger, maybe you would like to add some bright spots in the jacket and the shirt. This is up to you, but one of the things that I've seen in videos of people trying to do the regeneration effect is once the big blast appears, there are no bright spots anywhere. So press F. Although it has to be only a little, very subtle thing to do. Press color correction, curves, go to the beginning. Well, you see what's going on. Well, not go to, forget about this effect, this one here. I'm going to, I said that I was only going to work with the right hand. So I'm going to focus in this, but you should apply it also to the head. Even if you want to, you can parent this with tracking that we've done at the beginning, and then adjust it. It's a kind of rotoscope, but we want the jacket to be affected by the glowing. Maybe not this much, because it's going to be a lot more affected when the big blast appears, but curves, and come on, come on, come on. Yeah, more or less here. Reset. So now as the glowing appears, also the jacket should be affected. And play with the particles. This is not the particles that I used. I used a lot more, a lot smaller, but I have to save time for the tutorial purposes, so play with them, make them smaller if you can. And now I'm going to apply the effect to the other parts of the body. So as you can see here, I have already added the effects to the left hand and the head, so your video should look more or less like this. In fact, I think I have added more particles in this one, or at least they last longer. And if you want to see how your composition should look like, should be more or less like this. Forget about the adjustment layer. I know that I have told you before about the lights affecting to the body, but this is going to be more important in the big blast video, so we'll talk about this one later. So your composition should have look like this. So part of the body, head in this case, tracking, waves slash particles, the head it only has waves, glow, left hand, tracking, waves, particles, glow, right hand, tracking, waves, particles, glow, and the video of course. And one thing that I forgot to told you before, and this is very important, is once you add the layer emitter, once you add the layer to the layer emitter, you have to change the layer sampling to particle birth time. So I had it before in steel, and once I was pre-visualizing everything, I realized that there was something going wrong. So if I go to frame 250, it's going to be more visible what's going on. So you can see that the particles are maintaining the shape of the hand, even if the hand is moving away. So you can see that they are maintaining the same shape of the hand. I mean, this is fine if your emitter doesn't move, but if it does, like it does in this one, you have to change this to particle birth time. And also, just play with the particles until they look properly. For example, here, I press U to see the keyframes. You can see that I have changed the velocity, so, and added some keyframes there, so the velocity, the particles move slower at the beginning. And also I have played with the vector blur here, and to the particles layer I have removed the saturation by adding some tint, because 2 layers with yellow particles, it was too much. So try to match the color of the particles with the color of your video. Play, I don't know, with the random seed also, so the particles won't move exactly in the same way from one layer to the other. Play with the direction spread, with the velocity from motion. Play with the settings until they look properly, but the most important thing to remember is for the waves layer, put this in, you have to use particular, vector blur, and turbulence displace. And for the particles it's the same except for the vector blur, and also change this to screen. So this is it for the first part of the tutorial. I'm going to tell you about the big blast in the next one.